It began on an ordinary Tuesday. The skies above every major city on Earth suddenly darkened as if heavy storm clouds had rolled in all at once. But these were not clouds. 300 massive ships appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. Each one was larger than the island of Manhattan. Their dark metal hulls reflected no light. They simply hung there, silent and threatening. People everywhere stopped and looked up. Cars crashed as drivers stared at the sky. Office workers pressed against windows. Children in playgrounds pointed upward. Jake Powell was drinking his morning coffee at the United Earth Defense Initiative headquarters when the first reports came in. At 45, he had spent his life preparing for this moment, though he never truly believed it would come. His dark hair showed touches of gray, and the lines around his eyes deepened as he frowned at the incoming data. "Sir, all communications. Satellites are showing the same thing," said his aide, a young woman named Beth. The objects appeared simultaneously over every continent. Jake set down his coffee. "Get me the president." Within 1 hour, Jake stood in an underground command center along with military leaders from 12 countries. Screens showed the alien, ships hovering above New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, and more. News channels broadcast images of people running through streets, emptying stores and fleeing cities. Some knelt in prayer, others stood frozen in place, staring upward. "Commander Powell," said the president, a tall woman with steady hands despite the crisis. "You're our expert. What do we know?" "Nothing yet, Madam President," Jake said. "They've made no contact. Our weapon systems show they have energy shields unlike anything we've developed. Based on their positioning, they could target every major city on Earth simultaneously." A voice called out from across the room. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission. It's coming from the largest ship." The main screen flickered. A face appeared. It looked almost human but wrong in subtle ways. The skin was pale blue. The eyes were too large and completely black. No nose, just 2 small breathing holes. When it spoke, its mouth moved strangely, not matching the English words they heard. "People of Earth, I am Admiral Zorth of the Zorellian Empire. Your planet has been selected for immediate incorporation into our domain. Your resistance would be pointless and wasteful. You have 48 hours to surrender control of your governments and resources. After that time, we will begin systematic elimination of population centers until compliance is achieved." The screen went dark. The room erupted in shouts and arguments. Jake didn't join in. He watched the radar data showing the perfect formation of the ships. Too perfect. They didn't adjust position even slightly. Strange for vessels that size in orbit. Across the country, Dr. Olivia Grant was working late in her laboratory in the Nevada desert. She had no idea aliens had arrived. The facility was deep underground with restricted communications. She was focused entirely on her energy field experiments. Olivia pushed her curly brown hair behind her ears and adjusted her glasses. The computer showed unusual readings from her sensors on the surface. "That can't be right," she muttered. Her equipment was detecting massive energy fluctuations in the atmosphere. She checked her calculations again. Her phone rang, startling her. Outside, calls almost never came through to the secure lab. "Dr. Grant," she answered. "Olivia, turn on the news right now." It was her sister in Chicago, voice shaking. After learning about the alien ships, Olivia immediately connected her atmospheric readings to their presence. Something about the energy signatures didn't make sense. They were too unstable for vessels that had likely traveled between stars. Meanwhile, in Seattle, Darius Washington was on the roof of his apartment building with his homemade satellite equipment. A tall man with kind eyes and steady hands, Darius had built communication systems for fun since he was a kid. Now he worked for a major tech company designing satellite networks. He had pointed his dish toward the alien ships, more out of curiosity than hope. To his shock, he was picking up signals. Weak, broken signals, but definitely coming from the alien vessels. His equipment shouldn't have been able to penetrate their technology. Darius recorded everything, not understanding most of it, but he could tell one thing. The signals showed patterns of instability. Something was affecting their communications. Back at the command center, Jake Powell organized Earth's defense forces. Every military aircraft was now airborne. Submarines lurked beneath the oceans. Missile systems stood ready. But everyone knew it wouldn't be enough. The aliens' technology was far beyond anything humans had built. "Sir," said an officer, "we've received reports that the Chinese fired a nuclear missile at the ship above Shanghai. It detonated but had no effect. The ship's shields absorbed it completely." Jake nodded grimly. He had expected as much. His phone rang. It was a direct call from the Science Division. "Commander Powell, this is Dr. Reyes from Advanced Research. We've been contacted by a Dr. Olivia Grant from the Nevada Energy Lab. She has data suggesting the alien ships are experiencing some kind of energy instability in our atmosphere. For the first time since the ships appeared." Jake felt a small spark of hope. "Get her on a secure line immediately," he ordered. Within hours, Dr. Grant was flown to the command center. She rushed in carrying laptops and data drives, her lab coat exchanged for a hastily borrowed Air Force jacket. "Commander," she said, not bothering with introductions, "the alien ships are showing energy fluctuations that suggest they're having trouble maintaining stability in Earth's specific environment." She connected her computer to the main screen and showed charts and readings. "Our planet has a unique combination of magnetic field, atmospheric composition, and solar radiation. My theory is that their technology isn't designed to operate in these exact conditions for extended periods." Jake studied the data. "Can we use this somehow?" "Maybe," said Olivia, "but I need more readings closer to the ships." That's when another call came in. This one from Seattle. "Sir, there's a civilian engineer named Darius Washington who claims he's picking up internal communications from the alien fleet using modified satellite equipment. He says their signals show increasing signs of degradation." Jake and Olivia looked at each other. "Get him here," Jake said. "Now." As the 48-hour deadline approached, the three of them, a military commander, a physicist, and a satellite engineer, worked together in a race against time. They found that Earth's natural environment was slowly affecting the alien technology in ways the Xerelians hadn't anticipated. Outside, people huddled in shelters or with loved ones, watching the sky and waiting. Some prayed, some drank. Many said goodbye, believing these were their final hours. They had no idea that in a secure underground facility, three ordinary humans had found the first glimmer of hope, a possible weakness in the most powerful alien fleet ever to threaten Earth. The military plane carrying Darius Washington landed at the secret base just 6 hours after Jake Powell requested his presence. Darius stepped off the aircraft carrying only a backpack filled with computer equipment and his modified satellite receiver. He was escorted immediately to the underground command center where Jake and Olivia were working. The large room buzzed with activity as military personnel monitored the alien ships that still hung motionless in Earth's orbit. "Mr. Washington," Jake said, shaking his hand firmly. "Thank you for coming." "Call me Darius," he replied, looking around with wide eyes. "I never thought I'd be in a place like this." Olivia stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Grant. I understand you've been picking up transmissions from the alien ships?" Darius nodded and began unpacking his equipment. "It started as a crazy idea. I pointed my dish at them just to see what would happen. I was shocked when I started getting signals." Within minutes, Darius had his system connected to the command center's computers. Strange sounds filled the room. Clicking, humming, and occasional bursts of static. "This is their internal communication," Darius explained. "I can't understand the language, but the pattern of the signals tells me something. Their systems are working harder than they should be. The signals keep adjusting, like they're constantly recalibrating." Olivia's eyes lit up. "That matches my energy readings exactly. Their ships are struggling to maintain stability in our atmosphere." Jake leaned forward. "Can we use this? We have less than 40 hours before their deadline." The three huddled around, a table covered with charts, computers, and cups of cold coffee. They were joined by a team of scientists and military specialists. Each person brought different knowledge, but they all shared the same desperate hope. Olivia pointed to her data. "Their energy shields are incredibly powerful, but they're having to adjust constantly to our planet's magnetic field. The largest ships are showing the most instability." That makes sense, Darius added. More surface area means more exposure to Earth's environment. A colonel interrupted them. We've just received word that India attempted an electromagnetic pulse attack on the ship above New Delhi. No effect. Jake rubbed his tired eyes. So conventional weapons are useless, even EMPs. Wait, Olivia said suddenly. What if we don't? Attack them? What if we just help them fail? Everyone looked at her. Their ships are already struggling to adapt to our environment, she continued. What if we amplify the natural conditions that are causing them problems? The idea sparked intense discussion. Scientists debated theories while engineers considered practical applications. After hours of work, a plan began to take shape. They called it Project Achilles. Across the room, a communications officer called out, "Commander Powell, we're receiving another transmission from the alien fleet." The main screen showed Admiral Zorth again. His black eyes seemed even colder than before. "People of Earth, your time grows short. We have observed your pitiful attempts at resistance. They are meaningless. Prepare for your new existence under Cerealian rule." After the transmission ended, Jake gathered the team. "We need to stall for time. I'll request a face-to-face meeting with Admiral Zorth to discuss surrender terms." "A meeting? On their ship?" Olivia asked, alarmed. Jake nodded grimly. "Yes, and we'll bring a special gift with us." The next 12 hours passed in a blur of activity. Olivia and Darius worked with the science team to build a device unlike anything created before. It looked simple from the outside, a golden sphere about the size of a basketball. But inside was a complex system designed to interact with Earth's magnetic field and amplify its effect on the alien technology. While they worked, Jake selected his team for the dangerous mission to the alien flagship. He chose 3 Special Forces soldiers known for their calm under pressure. And despite his reservations, he had to include Olivia, as only she fully understood the device. "I can't ask you to do this," Jake told her. "It's beyond dangerous." Olivia didn't look up from her work. "You're not asking, I'm telling. This was my idea and I'm seeing it through." Darius would remain at the command center, monitoring the alien communications and guiding them remotely. With just 10 hours left before the deadline, Jake sent a message to the alien fleet requesting a meeting to discuss Earth's surrender. The response came quickly. Admiral Zorth would meet with them aboard his flagship in 5 hours. As they prepared to leave, the president spoke to Jake privately. "Commander Powell, you understand what's at stake here?" "Yes, Madam President. All of humanity." She put a hand on his shoulder. "If this fails, we have nothing else. Our most powerful weapons are useless against them." Jake nodded. "I understand." The team gathered at the launch pad where a small shuttle waited. The golden sphere was carefully packed in a ceremonial box, presented as a peace offering from Earth. Before boarding, Jake looked at the faces of his team. Olivia checked her equipment one last time. The Special Forces soldiers, Ben, Caleb, and Nick, stood ready, weapons concealed under their formal uniforms. Darius approached them. "I've set up a secure communication line. It should work even, inside their ship at least for a while." Jake thanked him, then turned to the others. "We all know what we're doing. If this works, we save Earth. If not," he didn't need to finish the sentence. As the shuttle lifted off, people around the world watched through news broadcasts. Many believed they were witnessing Earth's officials going to surrender. They didn't know that inside that small craft was humanity's last best hope. The journey to the massive alien flagship took 30 minutes. As they approached, they saw its true size. The ship was nearly 15 miles long, covered in strange markings and lights. No windows were visible on its dark surface. A bay opened on the side of the ship, glowing with blue light. The shuttle was guided inside by an invisible force. When they landed and the doors opened, they found themselves in an enormous hangar filled with smaller alien craft. The air was breathable but had a strange, sweet smell. 6 Cerealians approached. They walked on 2 legs like humans but were much taller, with long arms that nearly touched the floor. Their skin had a blue tint that seemed to shimmer under the lights. One stepped forward. "Follow," it said in mechanical-sounding English. As they were led through the massive ship, they saw technology beyond their understanding. Walls that seemed solid one moment became transparent the next. Gravity changed, subtly as they moved from section to section. Through it all, Olivia kept her hand on the ceremonial box containing Project Achilles. The golden sphere inside was already working, emitting signals that interacted with Earth's magnetic field and the ship's systems. Finally, they were brought to a large chamber with a curved ceiling that showed a view of Earth below. Admiral Zorth stood waiting for them, surrounded by what appeared to be high-ranking Sorelians. The meeting to determine Earth's fate was about to begin. Admiral Zorth towered over the humans. Standing nearly 9 feet tall, his blue skin shimmered with an inner light that pulsed slowly. His black eyes showed no emotion as he looked down at Jake and his team. Commander Powell, the alien leader, said, his mouth moving out of sync with the English words. You come to discuss your surrender. This is wise. Jake stepped forward, keeping his face neutral. Admiral Zorth, thank you for meeting with us. Earth wishes to avoid unnecessary destruction. While Jake spoke, Olivia glanced at the small device, hidden in her sleeve. It showed that Project Achilles was working. The golden sphere in the ceremonial box was already sending out pulses that interacted with the ship's systems. She hoped the aliens couldn't detect it. We have brought a gift, Jake continued, gesturing to the box that Nick held. It is an ancient Earth custom to present a gift during important meetings. Admiral Zorth made a sound that might have been laughter. Your customs are irrelevant. You will be Zorelian soon, but we will accept your trinket. Nick stepped forward and opened the box, revealing the golden sphere. The alien officers examined it without touching it. One used a handheld device to scan it. It appears harmless, the officer reported to Zorth. A simple metal object. Zorth dismissed the gift with a wave of his long fingers. Now to your surrender. All Earth governments will be dissolved. Humans will serve as labor class. Resistance will result in immediate termination. Jake nodded slowly, buying time. We understand. However, we have some questions about how this transition will work. As Jake kept the aliens talking, Olivia watched, her hidden device. The readings were getting stronger. Project Achilles was working even better than they had hoped. Back at the command center on Earth, Darius monitored everything through the secret communication link. He could see the alien ship systems beginning to fluctuate. It's working, he whispered to the room full of anxious officials. Their energy shields are experiencing increased instability. On the main screen, they watched as small power fluctuations appeared throughout the alien fleet. The ships above Tokyo and Sydney briefly flickered, becoming partially transparent before solidifying again. Aboard the flagship, Olivia saw her device showing critical levels. She caught Jake's eye and gave him the signal they had planned. 3 quick taps on her wrist. Jake understood immediately. He needed to wrap up the conversation and get his team off the ship before the real effects began. Admiral, Jake said, we need time to communicate your terms to all Earth nations. Perhaps we could... An alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. One of the Zorelian officers rushed to a control panel where strange symbols flashed red. Admiral, the officer called out. We are experiencing system-wide energy fluctuations. The stabilizers cannot compensate. Zorth turned to his officer, then back to the humans. His black eyes narrowed. What have you done? Jake kept his expression calm. We've done nothing, Admiral. What seems to be the problem? More alarms joined the first. The lights in the chamber flickered. Zorth barked orders to his crew in their alien language. The gift, an officer suddenly shouted. It's emitting energy patterns that match the fluctuations. Zorth lunged toward the golden sphere, but Ben and Caleb moved quickly, placing themselves between the alien and the device. The Special Forces soldiers didn't draw their weapons yet, but their stance made their intentions clear. Deception, Zorth roared. Guards, seize them. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Zorelian guards rushed toward the humans. Nick pulled out a concealed weapon and fired, creating a barrier of energy between the teams. We need to get back to the shuttle, Jake shouted. Now! The humans began fighting their way back toward the entrance. Ben and Caleb engaged the guards while Nick protected Olivia and the sphere. Jake led the way, remembering the path they had taken. The ship shuddered beneath their feet. Panels in the walls sparked and burst. The Zorellians seemed confused, divided between capturing the humans and dealing with their failing systems. As they ran down a corridor, a section of ceiling collapsed. Olivia pushed Jake out of the way, but debris struck her shoulder. She fell, crying out in pain. "Olivia!" Jake rushed to her side. "I'm okay," she gasped, clutching her injured arm. "The sphere. Is it safe?" Nick held up the device, still intact, in its box. "Working perfectly. This whole ship is coming apart." They continued their desperate escape, now carrying Olivia between them. The ship's interior was transforming around them. Solid walls became transparent. Gravity shifted unpredictably. Some areas lost atmosphere, forcing emergency barriers to activate. Through their communication link, they heard Darius's voice. "The effect is spreading. All ships in the fleet are showing critical instability. Get out of there now." After what seemed like hours but was only minutes, they reached the hangar where their shuttle waited. Several Zorellian guards tried to stop them, but the ship's deteriorating systems worked in the humans' favor. Force fields failed, doors opened randomly, and equipment floated free in areas where gravity disappeared. They fought their way to the shuttle and sealed the doors. Ben, though injured in the fight, took the pilot's seat. "Can you fly us out of here?" Jake asked. "If the bay doors open, yes," Ben replied, starting the engines. As if in answer, the massive hangar doors began to open, not by design but because the systems controlling them were failing. The shuttle lifted off, weaving between floating debris. "Look." Caleb pointed out the window. Parts of the flagship were becoming transparent, revealing the structure beneath. The entire vessel glowed with an intense blue light that grew brighter. By the second, they cleared the hangar just as a massive surge of energy swept through the flagship. The shuttle rocked violently in the shockwave. Behind them, the enormous alien ship began to pulse with light. First slowly, then faster and faster. "Brace yourselves," Jake called out. The light from the flagship reached blinding intensity. Then in an instant of impossible brightness, the massive ship vanished. It didn't explode. It didn't break apart. It simply disappeared, leaving only a ripple of energy that quickly faded. As their shuttle tumbled away from where the flagship had been, the humans stared in shock. On their screens, they could see the same thing happening to the rest of the fleet all around Earth. One by one, the 300 Zorellian ships flashed with brilliant light and vanished. Earth was suddenly, unexpectedly free. The shuttle carrying Jake, Olivia, and the Special Forces team raced back to Earth. Inside, they worked to stabilize Olivia's injury while trying to understand what had just happened. "Did we destroy them?" Caleb asked, looking out the window, at the empty space where the massive flagship had been moments before. Jake shook his head. "I don't think so. If those ships had exploded, the energy released would have damaged Earth. They just disappeared." Olivia winced as Nick bandaged her shoulder. "Not destroyed," she said through gritted teeth. "Displaced. Project Achilles didn't attack their ships directly. It amplified Earth's natural effect on their technology." Ben called from the pilot's seat. "Command Center is reporting all alien ships gone, every single one." A cheer went up inside the small shuttle. They had done it. Earth was safe. When they landed at the base, they were greeted as heroes. Medical teams rushed Olivia to the infirmary while Jake went straight to the command center. Darius was waiting for him, surrounded by screens showing data from the event. "Commander," Darius said, his face glowing with excitement. "What you just experienced up there, it's revolutionary." The president entered the room. Everyone stood at attention. "At ease," she said. "Commander Powell, we need answers. What happened to the alien fleet? Could they return?" Jake gestured to Darius. "Mr. Washington has been analyzing the data. He should explain." Darius stepped forward nervously. "Madam President, based on our readings, The Zarelian ships didn't explode or get destroyed in the conventional sense. Their dimensional drives activated, but in an uncontrolled manner. Dimensional drives? The president asked. Yes, Darius continued. We believe they use a technology that allows them to travel between dimensions or possibly fold space. That's how they appeared so suddenly above Earth. Project Achilles created an instability that triggered these drives, but without proper navigation. So where are they now? Someone asked. Darius spread his hands. Anywhere. Everywhere. Scattered across dimensions or space-time. The important thing is, they're not here. In the days that followed, the world celebrated. People filled streets and parks, hugging strangers and looking up at the empty sky with relief and wonder. Religious leaders called it a miracle. Scientists began studying the data collected during the event, hoping to understand what had happened. Olivia was released from the hospital a week later. Her shoulder would heal, though she would always carry a scar from her adventure on the alien ship. She returned to her laboratory in Nevada, now with unlimited funding and a team of the world's best scientists. Darius found himself appointed as the head of a new international agency dedicated to developing early warning systems for space. His satellite equipment, once just a hobby, became the model for a global network of detection systems. Jake remained with the United Earth Defense Initiative, which was expanded into a permanent organization. Nations that had once been enemies now worked together, united by their shared experience and the knowledge that they were not alone in the universe. 1 month after the Zarelian fleet vanished, Olivia made a breakthrough. She called Jake and Darius to her lab immediately. "Look at this," she said when they arrived. She pointed to a screen showing complex patterns of energy. "We've been studying the residual energy left behind when the ships disappeared. There's a pattern here, a kind of echo." "What does it mean?" Jake asked. "The ships weren't destroyed," Olivia explained. "They were sent somewhere, and based on these readings, they were scattered, not just in space but possibly across different dimensions or timelines." Darius studied the data. "Could they find their way back?" Olivia shook her head. "Unlikely. The effect was random. They could be anywhere in the multiverse." As they discussed the implications, a young scientist burst into the room. "Dr. Grant, we're picking up a signal. It matches Zarelian patterns, but it's different somehow." They rushed to the main laboratory where a team was monitoring various sensors pointed at space. On the central screen, a small blip moved across. "The star field. It's coming from the edge of our solar system," someone reported. "Moving slowly toward Earth." Jake immediately contacted military command. Within hours, Earth's newly formed defense fleet, ships built using recovered alien technology, moved to intercept the signal. The world held its breath, fearing the return of the Zarelian threat. But when the Earth ships reached the source, they found something unexpected. A small Zarelian vessel, heavily damaged with a single occupant. The alien was brought to a secure facility where Olivia, Jake, and Darius were waiting. Unlike Admiral Zorth, this Zarelian was smaller, with paler skin. It appeared injured but not hostile. To everyone's surprise, it spoke in broken but understandable English without any translation device. "I am Vex," it said. "Engineer rank 3. I was outside my ship when the event. I saw what you did." "What happened to your fleet?" Jake asked. Vex made a gesture they interpreted as sadness. "Gone. Scattered across realities. I survived because my maintenance pod was partially shielded from the effect." Over the next days, they learned much from Vex. The Zarelian engineer explained that their ships had been designed for very different conditions. Earth's unique combination of factors had created what Vex called a resonance cascade when amplified by Project Achilles. "Your world is special," Vex told them. "In all our conquests, we never encountered a planet like this one." Most surprisingly, Vex seemed relieved rather than angry about what had happened. "My people were not always conquerors," the alien explained. "Once, we were explorers. But our leaders became obsessed with expansion, with power. Many of us served out of fear rather than choice." This revelation changed how humanity viewed the encounter. What had seemed like a simple case of invasion and defense became more complex. Through Vex, they began to understand the Zorelian civilization, its history, achievements, and flaws. Earth scientists worked with Vex to study the recovered alien technology. Progress that would have taken centuries happened in months. New forms of energy, materials stronger than any known before, medical treatments that seemed magical, all became possible. 6 months after the vanishing, Earth launched its first ship capable of faster-than-light travel. Built using a combination of human ingenuity and Zorelian principles, it represented something new in the galaxy. Technology born from cooperation rather than conquest. As the ship prepared for its maiden voyage, Jake stood at the observation window with Olivia and Darius. "Do you think we'll find them out there?" Darius asked. "The scattered ships?" "Perhaps," Olivia said. "The universe is vast, but humans are curious." Jake smiled. "And persistent. The Zorelians never understood that about us." Together they watched as humanity took its first steps into a larger universe, not as conquerors like the Zorelians, but as explorers, carrying the lessons of their unexpected victory with them. 5 years passed since the day the Zorelian fleet vanished above Earth. The world had changed in ways no one could have imagined before the invasion. Jake Powell now served as the director of the United Earth Space Force. His office overlooked the massive shipyard where vessels of human design, enhanced with adapted Zorelian technology, were being built. On his desk sat a small model of the UES Defender, Earth's first true starship. Olivia Grant had become the head of the International Science Council. Her work combining Earth science with alien technology had led to breakthroughs in medicine, energy production, and materials science. The injury to her shoulder had long healed, though she still felt occasional pain during cold weather. Darius Washington led Earth's network of early warning stations. His systems now extended beyond the solar system, watching for any sign of danger from the stars. He had married a fellow engineer, and they were expecting their first child. The three friends met regularly, bound by their shared experience. Today they gathered in Jake's office with Vex, who had become an unofficial ambassador for peaceful cooperation. "The 5th anniversary celebration is tomorrow," Jake said, looking at the others. "Hard to believe it's been that long." Olivia nodded. "The world is unrecognizable from what it was before." Indeed, Earth had been transformed. Cities now featured buildings made of materials that seemed to defy gravity. Clean energy powered everything. Disease and hunger were being eliminated by new technologies. Nations that once threatened each other with war now worked together in space. "Your people have adapted quickly," Vex observed. The Zorelian had learned much better English and now wore specially designed clothes that helped him blend in somewhat with humans. "Faster than my people expected." "Speaking of your people," Darius said, "we've received another signal from deep space. It matches the patterns we've been tracking. Over the past 5 years, Earth's sensors had occasionally detected faint signals that seemed to be from Zorelian ships, distant echoes from across dimensions. Each one provided more data about what had happened during the vanishing." Jake looked at Vex. "What do you think? Could some of your people find their way back?" Vex made the gesture they now recognized as thoughtfulness. "It is possible, but unlikely. The dimensional scattering was severe. Most ships would be trapped in their new locations." The conversation was interrupted when Jake's assistant entered. "Director Powell, we've received an urgent message from the Mars colony. They've detected something entering the solar system at high speed." Jake's team immediately moved to the command center. Large screens showed the solar system with a red dot moving rapidly toward Earth. "It's not Zorelian," Darius said, studying the readings. "The energy signature is completely different." Olivia looked concerned. "Could it be another alien species?" "We should prepare for that possibility," Jake replied. He activated the global defense network. Around the world, weapons systems designed using Zorelian principles came online. Vex studied the incoming object's data. "This pattern, I recognize it." Everyone turned to the alien. "When I was a young engineer, I studied ancient records. This signature matches descriptions of a race called the Void Weavers." "Who are they?" Jake asked. Vex's voice became quieter. The reason my people became conquerors. The Void Weavers hunt advanced civilizations. They appear without warning, destroy everything, then vanish back into the dark between stars. A chill fell over the room. Olivia was the first to break the silence. Why haven't you mentioned them before? Because I believed they were only stories, Vex replied. Tales to frighten young Zorellians, but if this is really them... The room burst into action. Jake ordered Earth's defense fleet to intercept the approaching object. Olivia gathered her scientific team to analyze the new data. Darius extended all sensor networks to maximum range. 2 tense days followed. The object slowed as it reached the orbit of Mars, allowing Earth ships to surround it at a safe distance. We're receiving a transmission, a communications officer announced. The main screen flickered, then showed an image that made everyone gasp. It was a Zorellian, but unlike any they had seen before. This one's skin was darker, with patterns that seemed to shift as they watched. People of Earth, the Zorellian said. I am Sentinel Karn of the Zorellian Resistance. We have come seeking Vex and knowledge of what happened to the Imperial fleet. Vex stepped forward. Karn, you survived? The alien on screen nodded. When the Empire began its campaign of conquest, some of us refused to follow. We have been hiding, watching. When the invasion fleet disappeared, we knew something extraordinary had happened. Jake exchanged glances with Olivia and Darius. Your ship is cleared to approach Earth. We have much to discuss. When Sentinel Karn's ship landed, it revealed a small crew of 15 Zorellians. They were welcomed cautiously, but with hope rather than fear. In the meetings that followed, humanity learned the full truth. The Zorellian Empire had begun its conquest because their long-range sensors had detected movement in the dark spaces between galaxies, the Void Weavers stirring after millennia of silence. Our leaders believed the only way to survive was to build an empire to control all resources and technology, Karn explained. Those of us who disagreed were branded traitors. And the Void Weavers? Jake asked. Are they real? Very real, Karn replied. And they are coming. Perhaps not this year or the next, but they are coming. Instead of panic, this news brought humanity and their new Zorellian allies together with common purpose. The defensive technologies they had developed were now directed toward a greater threat. 1 year later, on the 6th anniversary of the vanishing, Jake stood on the bridge of the UES Defender. Beside him were Olivia, Darius, Vex, and Karn. The massive ship, nearly a mile long, represented the best of both human and Zorellian engineering. All systems ready, Director Powell, reported the ship's captain. Jake nodded. Proceed with dimensional drive activation. As the countdown began, Jake looked at his friends. When the Zorellian fleet came to Earth, they thought we were primitive, easy to conquer. They never expected us to send them across dimensions. And they certainly never expected humans and Zorellians to be standing together on a ship like this, Olivia added. The Void Weavers won't expect it either, Darius said with a smile. The ship hummed as its dimensional drive powered up, a refined version of the technology that had scattered the invasion fleet. But this time, the destination was precisely calculated. Drive activated, the captain announced. The stars outside the viewports blurred, then changed. Earth vanished behind them as the Defender made its first controlled dimensional jump. Humanity had not only survived the most powerful alien fleet in the galaxy, they had learned from it, adapted its technology, and now carried the best of both worlds into the stars. Whatever waited in the darkness between galaxies, Earth would be ready. The end.